Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. So in this video, we are going to discuss how computer adaptive testing works on the GMAT exam. So let's start by understanding the structure of the GMAT. GMAT has four sections: quantitative section, verbal section, IR section, and AWA section. Out of these four sections, only quantitative section and the verbal section, they are computer adaptive by nature. What does this mean? The simplest way to explain it is that as you get questions right, you get harder questions in return. And as you get questions wrong, you get easier questions in return. However, there are other nuances also involved, and we are going to understand them in order to help you get a better GMAT score. So let's start by understanding the algorithm. The quant and the verbal sections, they are scored on the scale of 6 to 51. So the midpoint is about 30. In other words, the average student is going to get a 30 on the GMAT. That's a pretty good representation for the verbal side of the test. It's not as good for the math side of the test because the average student gets a higher score on the quantitative section. But just for the sake of an example and to understand the algorithm better, let's take it as 30. So let's say when you sit for taking the test, the computer, it pulls out a 30 level question and puts it on the screen. What does a 30 level question means? Think of it as a question which most of the students who get 30 score on the test will get right. Now let's say you see this question on the screen and you were careful enough and you get it right. Now the computer is going to adjust your score upward and gives you a harder question in return. Now let's say that you again get the question right and again the computer pushes your score up and puts a harder question on the screen. But there are a few things to notice here. First, as you are getting questions right, you are getting harder questions in return. The other thing to notice is that as you are getting further in the test, two questions right, the interval by which the score is increasing is actually shrinking. So now you have a 42 level question up on the screen. And let's say you get it wrong. Now, maybe you didn't read the question carefully, or maybe you did not know how to solve this question and you get it wrong. So at this point, computer is going to drop your score down and is going to put an easier question on the screen. But notice that you have not actually dropped down to where you were before. Okay, now here is a weird thing about the GMAT. Everybody tends to think about it as it is the number of questions you get right and the number of questions you get wrong is what determines the score. But on the GMAT, this is not exactly true because it is not only the number of questions you get right or wrong, but it is also where you get them right or wrong that affects your score. So it is like if two students take the GMAT and one student may get a few more questions wrong than the other student and still winds up with a higher score. And that may happen because maybe the other student made mistakes earlier in the test. Now let's go back to this 30 level question, which is up on the screen. And let's say another student take the test. And let's say he is nervous or misread the question, something happens. And let's say he gets the question wrong. Now the computer will drop his score to a correspondingly larger amount. Now there is an easy question up on the screen. And let's say the person do a good job. He reads the question carefully and he gets it right. So now the computer is going to give him some points. But if you will notice, he is not back to where he started. And now let's say the student again gets it right. So the computer is going to give him more points. And now he is a little over from where he started. Now here is the important thing. Both students got two questions right and one question wrong. But there is a pretty dramatic difference in their scores. And this is the algorithm that the GMAT follows for the entire quant and verbal section. And as you are getting further into the section, the amount by which your score is increasing or decreasing as you get the questions right or wrong itself shrinks. So overall, your score largely depends on the number of questions you get right, the difficulty level of the questions you get right, and the number of questions attempted. Now remember, there is a heavy penalty for leaving the questions at the end of the section. So you must complete the test at any cost. I hope this video helped you in understanding how the computer adaptive testing works on the GMAT exam. Wishing you all the best for your preparation. Thank you.